The World Test Championship final squad has been announced, and Coach Shukri and Temba Bavuma held a press conference in Johannesburg today to discuss this particular squad. Obviously, questions were asked by the media. So this show is going to be about the squad announcement, who made the squad, as well as a reaction to the press conference. So I know you guys are going to probably have a lot of questions in the live chat. You guys are probably going to ask us a lot of questions when it comes to who's in the squad and why are they there, etc. Now, Coach Shukri does go into depth discussing the selections and why he went for certain players and why he left out others. So please try and keep your questions for back a little bit until you get the answers from the press conference, because it will be a much better debate if we know all the information first and then ask questions on certain players, because the questions most likely will be answered. Because I do see some in the live chat already that are asking questions about certain players. It's pointless asking now because the answers are going to be revealed in our reaction to the press conferences. So just hold on to your questions a little bit longer for us so that we can get into the discussion of note, which is actually why the actual final selection was made, and then we can debate. So today's show is going to be all about this. The show is going to be dedicated to that because the presses are quite long. Like I said, it's 24 minutes for the first press conference and 24 for the second. So it's going to be quite a lengthy time with us guys. So please be patient and bear with us. But I want to get into every single question and go into a little bit of depth into each question so we can give a nice preview heading into this World Test Championship final. But before we get going, before we get started, a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. Smash the like button, comment, and share. And also, I'd like you guys to please download Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Subscribe right away. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. So this is going to be a call-in show, but I would want you guys to call in maybe later after we've done our reaction, please, because me and Stu are going to be on the show today to just go through everything. So I want you guys to please just hold back on your call-ins and when we start taking the questions from the live chat. But I'll explain this all after the intro. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your live South African cricket show. I'm your host, Khalid Moedin. Today, we will be discussing WTC final Proteas squad. Now, I just want to make some ground rules for the people that are joining in right now. We've got two press conferences to react to, one from Shukri Conrad and one from Temba Bavuma. Both are quite lengthy, but we want to get into those answers, those questions and those answers, because I know a lot of you will have questions about the squad that was selected. But Coach Shukri and Temba do answer those questions. So please, before you start giving your opinions on the squad when I announce it, just hold it back a little bit and wait to see if you will hear the answers in the press conference, because that's what we're here for. We want to get the answers live together. I haven't heard the audio yet, and I'm sure you guys haven't either. And this is the only place on YouTube that you can get the full audio and a reaction to the full audio of these press conferences. So please just bear with me. We're trying to give you high quality content over here. But I'm first going to start off with the major announcement, and that is obviously the team. I'm going to be putting the squad on the screen right now for you so you guys can get some familiarity with the team and who's in it. So first and foremost, here's the squad for the WTC final. Temba Bavuma is captain. Tony De Zorzi, Tristan Stubbs, Aidan Markram, David Bedingham, Ryan Rickelton, Kyle Verreynne. In your all-rounder department, you've got Marco Jansen, Vian Mulder, Corbin Bosch, Sinaran Mutasami. In the spinners, you've got Keshav Maharaj. Seamers, you've got Lungingidi, Dane Patterson, and Kagiso Rabada. So that's the squad for you. If you guys want to have a quick look at it again, I will be reading it out again to you guys right now so that you guys do know who the names are in the squad. The test squad for the WTC final for the Proteas is as follows: Temba Bavuma captain, Tony De Zorzi, Tristan Stubbs, Aidan Markram, David Bedingham, Ryan Rickleton, Kyle Verreynne, Marco Janssen in the all-rounder department, Vian Mulder, Corbin Bosch, Senator Mutasami. In the spinning department, we've got Keshav Maharaj. In the seaming department, we've got Lungingiri, Dane Patterson, and Kagiso Rabada. Clip that up. Anyway, so let's get straight into today's show because I know you guys are going to have a lot of questions about certain players, but the coaches do answer them. So to help me out over here with an analytical side of things and to analyze this is Stuart. Welcome to the show, bro. Good to see you again. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
How are you doing?
likewise, eh? No, I'm good. I'm especially good. Sorry to the United and Arsenal fans. I'm quite happy that my team's won the league. So I just
You
thought
have
I'd
to
get that
start off the
little.
conversation like that, really.
I have to antagonize you. Yeah, we won't talk about the Chelsea game, but yeah, I'm quite happy at the moment, and yeah, all's good. How are you doing?
No, I'm all good. I mean, we got a lot to get into. This is going to be quite an interesting show. So I'm going to try and we can try our best now to start talking about this and giving our insight. Because what's going to happen is this is quite a long one. So we'll see how we feel after Shuk's one. If Shukri answers all the questions, then maybe we can keep Temba's one for tomorrow or something. But
Okay.
I think let's just make sure that we get through Shukri's one because that's going to be the most important one for us. So I'm just going to try and find a nice little design here for us so that it doesn't like so that we can both be on the screen. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. We need to be both on the screen here. So I wanted this to have something like that maybe. Um, let's just see if I can maybe make this. There we go. That's better. What's nice about StreamYard now is that we can actually like move things around like this, and um, yeah, so it's nice and compact. But anyway, so guys, I have to be my own producer. So this is live action here that you're seeing that you you won't see anywhere else. So yeah, so I'm producing as we go along. So let's get into it. I want to start with Shuks's presser and let's analyze it. He will be answering probably a lot of the questions over here, I think, Stu. So let's see what he had to say. Don't worry, they're going to give Ken a mic now.
Morning, Shukri.
There we go.
Obviously, you do have Corbin Bosch in the squad there, but how much would you have liked to have had the extra pace of an Enric Norkia or a Gerald Coetzee? And can you just tell us whether they were available or just not selected?
You see there, that's probably one of the major questions. And Daim, you've asked the question in the live chat. You don't have to ask me why Gerald Coetzee is not in the team or Nokia. Shukri's got to answer the top for you. So here's the answer for that. We got to get straight into that big question because that team is looking a little bit low on pace.
I can. Yeah, obviously pace is critical for us. Not critical, but I think we all enjoy sheer pace. Unfortunately, with regards to Anna, it didn't really pan out the way we had hoped. He was due to play in the Centurion Test match against Pakistan and then sustain the broken toe. And yeah, I don't think he's in any position really to be playing a Test match. With regards to Gerald, he's making his way back as well from injury, and I just felt that what Corbin had done for us in the series against Pakistan, that he provides really good cover. And when I say cover, he might still make the starting 11. But Corbin's not lacking in pace, so I don't think we compromise too much pace in that respect. But I'm really happy what Corbin offers us and brings really good balance to our side as well. And that's ultimately what we were after, is the balance.
Okay, Stu, that's a major talking point. So let's start over there because we know that Andrich Nokia, Gerald Coetzee, Nandre Berger wasn't mentioned in this question, which was another person. Okay, yes, he's been injured for the entire season, so he's only coming back. I saw him doing his fitness, etc. So he wouldn't have been a question at all. I'm just throwing it into the mix to make people realize how many bowlers with pace we're actually missing out on. And there aren't many other options that are 150 plus. 145 to 150, I would say, in South African cricket that have already played Test cricket, ultimately, because that's what you're going to look for. The players that have the most amount of experience. Now, Corbin, Coach Shook said because he's played for us already in a Test match, he was a little bit, he was more a fully fit Corbin Bosch. He's obviously going to be better than maybe having a fully fit, half fit Gerald Coetzee or whatever the case may be, you could say, or having Andrich Nokia who is very rusty with the red ball. He's just been playing white ball cricket. So I want to get your thoughts maybe on that first and foremost, the selection of Corbin Bosch. And because for me personally, when I look at that lineup, it's Lungingidi or Dane Patterson for me in that extra seamer spot. In England, particularly with the skill set that they have. Now, that's only for me if Lungingidi is fully fit. Because if Lungi is not fully fit and he can only bowl a couple of overs like we've seen him, he's been like looking like he was losing a little bit of breath after a couple of overs in many matches that we've seen him play now recently. He hasn't really played much cricket either. But if he's fully fit, a fully fit Lungingiri at Lords is really dangerous for me. So that would probably be my third bowler. And if that's not, then we know how good Dane Patterson is in England. So having Dane Patterson's skill level with the ball, with the swing. But then that team is lacking a lot of pace then. If you don't, because you only really have Marco Jansen that bowls 140 and KG that bowls 140. Having three bowlers that bowl 140 plus is something to have, but I'm a little bit concerned about Corbin Bosch's consistency. That is the big thing. With a team as strong as Australia, they will punish loose deliveries. And I feel that Corbin has a little bit too much loose deliveries in his arsenal. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, when I saw Corbin Bosch's name, look, I do think he deserves the call up after his performance in the Pakistan series specifically. I do think, it is a nice option to have him in the squad, especially as an all-rounder. I do agree that sometimes, especially with the ball, his accuracy isn't always the best. But I mean, when I watched him bowl in the Centurion game, he was bowling 130, I think 135, 140. So the pace isn't really an issue for me. And I think, I would potentially even consider him being in the team because I think it gives us a longer batting lineup. Because if I think of the Australian tail end, one of the strengths that they've had is their lower order does score runs quite regularly. If you think of guys like Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark with Alex Carey coming in, I think at 6 or 7. Even Josh Hazelwood, I know he doesn't get 50s and stuff like that, but he can easily get you like a 30 or those guys can bat. So I think, I'm not saying that our batting isn't great, but I think it's a good option to have him there because he gives you the pace option and also does lengthen the batting lineup a little bit more as well. Lungi, look, I do think on his day he can be one of the best bowlers in the world, and he is one of my favorite players to watch. I am just a little bit concerned sometimes with his fitness. It sometimes has let him down in the past. So as you said, if he is fully fit, I do think he could be quite lethal as well. I do also think guys like, it's also worth noting guys like David Beddingham, Dane Patterson, those guys have played county cricket as well. They've been playing in the conditions as well. So I do think also maybe a guy like Dane Patterson might be slightly, from a neutral's perspective in my mind, slightly ahead of Lungi at the moment. But if Lungi is fit, I mean, he's got deadly variations that could trouble any batting lineup in any conditions. So,
yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
thing.
So the show is working out nicely because you guys are reacting to the actual question that was just answered. So I'm going to throw some of your live chats now as you speak after me and Stuart speak. So um, NY Times Square says my concern was also he would have liked Enrico Kutsia, but it's okay now because obviously after hearing the Coach Shukri's reaction, Kelly says I'm with you on Corbin's consistency, Khalid. He can blow very hot and cold and can and cold and can include 8 no balls in a single day of 4-day cricket. Wilbur says Dane Patterson over Ngidi any day. He always plays at Lords for Middlesex. I do agree there's a lack of pace, but I don't think pace is important for Lords pitch in June. Brilliant answer there. Lawrence says some of the discussions around Corbin stinks. He's a guy who has done decently for South Africa with opportunities he got. He also cranks it up to 150 kilometers per hour, as we saw against Pakistan and in SA20. Not saying any of you on the panel, of course, but I've seen stuff on Twitter. Yeah, I don't really give a shit about what happens on Twitter, to be honest,
I don't, yeah, I don't know
because
about
there's a lot of rubbish that gets said on Twitter, and people just look for the hide behind profiles. Not any of you, because you have your names on Twitter actually, and your pictures and you're there for everybody to see. But there's a lot of spam accounts, etc., and people that hide behind names that just try and talk crap to get clicks. So it's a lot of trolls on Twitter. So I don't really care about that social media platform that much. But I get you. It is frustrating, especially if you do enjoy that platform. It can make the enjoyment of that experience pretty crappy. Ayanda says Corbin, who's our batting at 8. Um, I don't know what
Sorry,
as
Colin,
Dikashu.
while you
Yes.
while you're reading, I just wanted to ask you on that point on the batting Corbin at 8, because I'm assuming Marco Janssen obviously is a shoe-in for the team as well. How would you bat them? Would you bat Corbin at 8 or Janssen at 8?
So
I would
for
think
me,
Corbin at
if you play
9.
Corbin, it will be in place of so you'll have Corbin and KG as your two seamers, then main seamers, ultimately pace bowlers, right? So for me, it will be Vian, then Marco, then Corbin, then KG and Maharaj, or
Oh, okay, so
Maharaj and then
6
KG.
Arsenal.
Yeah, Maharaj and KG. So that's how I would go with it, because I mean Corbin is brilliant. He can bat higher up, but I mean if you got Vian Mold in the team as well, he should bat higher.
Yeah.
Um, dependable on how we're going to pick up batters, etc. As Discussion says, I believe we have a balanced squad for the final. Corbin and Blanc offering pace, and Lungi and Dane with their seam bowling. So I'm going to go on with some more from Coach Shukri's presser, because we're only 1 minute in. And guys, we've got 23 minutes still left. So let's just get into this.
Who would like to take the next one? Tinus?
Hi, Shukri. It looks like you have a pretty settled squad there, obviously, and especially the batting lineup. But one of the key issues or headaches, I suppose, would be that selection in the top 3 between someone like Ryan Rickleton and Danny Gazorzi. Where's your mind at?
Big question, that.
Moment?
Big
Yeah,
question.
I don't think it's a headache really. It might have been a headache, but I think Rix has nailed that down.
Ooh.
So Ryan will be the opening bat with Aiden, and we'll obviously look at the balance we want to go with, and whether Tony slots in at 3, whether he slots in the middle order. I think conditions will determine all of that. But right at the top of the order, there is definitely no headache.
That's a big statement, big announcement. So we already know who our opening batters are. a month from the actual final. So Rickleton and Aiden, that would have been my pick too, for my openers. So Aiden and Rickleton. Big thing there over there that he said there is that Tony could still slot in maybe at 3 or in the middle order. That will mean that either Tristan misses out or David Bedingham misses out. I don't see Kyle Verreynne getting dropped from the squad because he's obviously our only wicket keeper. So it's got to either be between then Stubbs and Tony, then I see it. And then obviously you have your captain in Temba Bavuma. So Are you happy with that selection, or are you more into the Tony camp for that opening spot there, Stuart?
Yeah, look, on current form, I think it's like pretty obvious. I think Ryan Rickleton at the moment has been in phenomenal form in white ball and red ball cricket. Um, I think, look, I'm not that fussed about Tony moving to three because he's done it before as well. I actually think in Test cricket, his best position could be three. The thing that is just when you threw that conundrum up or Stubbs or Beddingham, I know most people 9 times out of 10 are going to say Stubbs, and I am a firm Tristan Stubbs fan. I'd love him in the team at four. But I think Beddingham also has been playing quite well for Durham in recent games. So I don't think that's going to be a big call to make because it's Stubbs or um, Beddingham. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I personally, yeah, I'm a bit shocked that he's been so like blatant a month out from the final about it. Um, but I can see the logic behind it. But it's just I'm a bit shocked, thinking, why now are we changing it for one game? If you get what I'm trying to say, like I get its conditions and all of that in form, and everyone will have their opinion, but I'm just thinking it looks like the batting lineup is finally getting settled, and yeah, I don't know, but anyways, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Daim, we've answered the question. I specifically mentioned your name. Why not Nokia Khalid? He is fit now, off his space. He hasn't played Test cricket in a while. Coach Shukri already answered it. Go to the top of the show to hear that. Sam says Tristan should be in the 11. NY Times Square says Tony was opener. It would be an ideal opener, replaces opener. Micah says Stubbs will definitely play. I think Beddingham will miss out, unfortunately, but Beddingham knows English conditions, though. And that's a big conundrum that he's going to be having, I think. Particularly, Coach Shukri is going to have that. Ayanda says, I'd bet Bavuma at 3, Stubbs at 4, and Bedders at 5. Sam says, I'm a bit confused with the inclusion of 2 spinners. It's just having the backup of an all-rounder spinner type of vibe in that team. I don't think, and it's just in case, just to have the balance in the squad. I think that's the reason behind that. Kelly Stubbs did notch a couple of test runs, so if it comes down to the performances for SA, you'll probably make it ahead of Bedders. And then Sam says Beddingham will be main player in English conditions. Okay, that's some of the answers that you guys have given about that question. Let's get straight into the next one.
Cool. Pilar?
Shuks, I know logistically it's a bit of a nightmare with the rescheduling of the IPL and the final being on June the 3rd. What's the chat been around with player availability, particularly for some preparation before the Test Championship final?
So the initial agreement with IPL BCCI was, with the final being on the 25th, our players would return on the 26th, so that it allows them ample time before we fly out on the 30th. Nothing has changed from our perspective. That is the ongoing conversations that are being had between people in a higher pay grade than I am, and i.e. the director of cricket and Poletsi, so they're dealing with that. But as it stands, we're not budging on that, I don't think. We want our players back on the 26th, and hopefully that comes to fruition.
I'm not going to still get into that. That's pretty straightforward.
Good morning over here. I suppose the elephant in the room is the KG matter. If I can just get your thoughts on, obviously he's a very important member of the team, and are you thanking your lucky stars that it ended where it ended, now that we know what recreational drug it was? Number 2, was there any consideration of not taking him at all, however slim there was? And 3, have you had any chat with him with regards to that?
So I've been engaging with KG ever since I learnt about it. I don't know why it's an elephant in the room, because I'm just thankful that the process that was followed was in line with what the world standards are. So it's not for me or anybody else to question whether the process that was followed was the legitimate one. It was the legitimate one. And he served whatever ban or whatever the consequences were, and whatever it was laid down by SAIDS and in line with what the World Anti-Doping Association authorities prescribed. So everything's in line with that. And we're comfortable with the process.
Simple.
I certainly wasn't going to preempt anything. We allowed the process to develop as it did. And once we learned that this was the route that they went, that it was a 1 month ban, and the ban had started on 1 April, I was very comfortable with that. Yes, and I think the important thing is that KG is a big player wherever he goes in the world. So he's a massive player for us. But not for 1 minute did I sit on tenterhooks worrying about whether he potentially will be available or not. For me, it was more. There was a bigger thing. It was whether KG is all right, and close ranks around him and ensure that he's in a good space. And because at the end of the day, we care for all our players. But he served his sentence, and all that I'm interested in now is KG producing performances that we know he's capable of.
It's a very good answer. Very, very good answer. I did give my thoughts on this yesterday, so I'm not going to climb into it again today. Stuart, I don't know if you want to say anything about it. If you don't feel comfortable, that's cool. I'm going to go into the live chat quickly.
No, I don't mind why you go in the live chat and sift through the comments. So I'm sorry, I was just reading as it was going. So that's why I saw somebody said, don't talk with your hand over your mouth, but it was just like, giggling a little bit. So I apologize. Yeah, look, I think with things like this, we've got to be very careful, as you said yesterday. It's a player's personal life. And I think he's made a mistake. He's owned up to the mistake. He's served his punishment, in inverted commas. I think guys have done way worse. And I'm thinking of certain Australian cricketers that I used to love that have actually taken things that have allegedly helped them get better at playing sport or physically. And, they're still revered around the world today. And I just don't like how, like certain ex-cricketers are pointing fingers saying it's a this and a that. I think it should be up to the ICC to decide what the punishment is in this type of scenario. And if they think he's served the punishment, then he's done his time. And yeah, good luck to Travis Head and the boys facing some 150 Thunderbolts at Lords.
Okay, so we've got Micah says Colombia white powder is different grade. He says he also says if KG comes out with a base, let's send him to Colombia. Times Square says Mexico would be better, I guess. Breaking Bad, if you watch that show, brilliant show. It's a different drug though, but that they work on in there. Lawrence says KG made a mistake, admitted his guilt. We move on. That's true. I'm just concerned about how he's mentally. If he's all good mentally, he served his time. The ban says that he should serve that amount of time, and he served his time. The one thing that I was concerned about is that it's just the message it sends to younger cricketers. I was just a bit concerned about the fact that it's KG Rabada. He's such a symbol for so many youngsters. And he apologized and admitted that he let the fans down, and it is the case. So that was my only concern really about it. But with regards to him facing his time, I think he faced his time. The Drug Association put that ban in. That's how it works. He served it. He went to a couple of sessions of counseling as well. And now it's just the focus. So my main concern now is just if he's okay. Like Coach Shukri says, is he okay mentally? Ayanda is a bit concerned by our right-handed middle order versus the Aussies. Tim Payne wanted more punishment, so he skips WTC. Hope Nehraj, who? Neharji is giving him coconut drink in Gujarat. I don't know what that is. A clock says Tony potentially at 3. The search for 3 continues. At some point, it looked like Tristan was all right, and then suddenly we moved him. At some point, I saw Vian there while Stubbs moved down. I think that Stubbs would probably be the one that they'd go with, perhaps. But it's going to be dependable on the conditions, like Coach Shukri says. If the pitch is like, because Tristan's a very attacking type of batter. Yes, he doesn't only play an attacking style, but if it is something where the coach will identify that, you know what, this is a Tristan Stubbs pitch, then you'll probably play. But if he sees that it's going to take someone like Tony De Zorzi, you will probably play him. But let's move on from that. We've spoken about that early on. Let's go into the next question.
Shooks, it's a one-off test like this becomes, I guess, a little bit tricky to try and prepare for, because it's not a full-on series where guys can get enough time on their legs at the start of the series. How concerned are you with some of the workloads or lack thereof of some of the players? I mean, Ian hasn't played a lot. There's guys that haven't played a lot since the last test match against Pakistan. And what sort of preps are you looking at to be able to get them fit, sharp, and ready for when June 11 comes?
Yeah, so our medical staff have been in touch with the guys ever since the IPL had started, in ensuring that whilst they might not necessarily get those workloads in match situations, that they were doing the necessary work at net practices, etc. And here we talk particularly about the bowlers. I think it's slightly easier for the batters.
Always said
But
that.
yeah, I'm very comfortable. We always knew what the situation was. It's not something that's been sprung on us. So all the necessary work from a medical point of view, from our S&C Moodles, he's been onto the players. The players have been reporting regularly. So I'm very comfortable where everybody's at. And we're not alone in this. I mean, Australia in a similar position, so whatever it is, and we've got to make the best of whatever that situation is.
Yeah, Australia's also had quite a few injuries as well coming back into the side. I think that's an answer that I can agree with. Do you think Coach Shukri will consider Zubair Hamza for the new WTC final cycle? I think he has to do a lot more. I know he's been doing well, but he has to do a lot more, I feel. Another good season, maybe. Kelly says, Harley Tristan plays in PE. It's not particularly an easy batting pitch. I'm not sure if there is a Stubbs pitch, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, it was tongue-in-cheek. But what I mean by that is Tristan Stubbs, I mean, I know he plays in PE, but the level of bowlers that Australia have compared to what he faces in PE is completely different. He does tend to want to, in Test cricket, he's a little bit more conservative, I would say. He will settle himself in and then bowl these innings. But when it comes to building massive innings consistently over time, that's going to be the determiner. But when it comes to Tony De Zorzi, there's a certain style that he bats with that they're going to have to consider as well. And Bedders, the way he plays is very different to all three of those players. They're all three different players. And all I'm trying to say is that Coach Shukri will just pick the best player between the three of them for the day. I think that's how he will look at it. And yeah, it's something that we need to take into consideration. But for me personally, I'm only trying to be the devil advocate here, because I won't drop Tristan Stubbs. He's in my squad. He's in my 11. So I'm just trying to play a different side here to maybe see another point of view, which I maybe mustn't do if I don't agree with it. But ultimately, for me personally, Tristan plays. He's too big of a talent for me personally, I think, for us to mess him around. But this is a once-off game, so there's a lot of things to take into consideration. But let's move on from that. I agree with the workload thing. I've always said that. I think I've always said it's a little bit easier for batters than bowlers when it comes to conditioning, etc.
Chad?
Ashooks, we're obviously not familiar with situations like this, playing for some silverware. How are you going to, prepare to sort of get everything out of the guys' minds and actually, try and win a trophy with the Proteas, especially with all the noise around, the white ball sides as well in recent World Cups and stuff, and just get them to focus on what's at hand?
Yeah, you say foreign. I think the last World Cup that was played, we were in that final, so maybe it's not as foreign to us as some would like to think. I don't think we're going to do anything different, really. We've embarked on a certain way we do things. And that's why the one thing I wanted to have in selection is consistency, and I think we've arrived at that. So, yeah, ultimately it's going to come down to how well we prep. We've got a warm-up game against Zimbabwe from 3 to 6 in Arundel, and that's coupled with whatever work we put in outside of that. It's going to have to be good enough. I don't think we need to be doing anything out of the extraordinary in order to beat Australia. We probably go in as underdogs, and rightly so, not because of ability, but maybe just in experience. And yeah, I'm very confident that when we play to our best, that we've got every chance of beating them. And like I've said before, we're not just happy to compete. We never only just wanted to make a final, but in order for you to win a final, you need to be in it. So we're there, and that was a goal that Temba and I set out once we got the momentum in the test side. And yeah, I'll give us a more than even chance of winning this test match. We've got some hell of a players. Our bowling attack will always be threatening, and certainly we have in our batting lineup the ability to really put the Aussies under the pump as well. So whilst we go in as underdogs, I don't think it should come as a massive surprise when we do win the trophy.
When we do win the trophy, I'm gonna be on that bus. I'm now officially on that train. When we win the trophy, not if. Stuart, what do you think of those thoughts? We've got a couple of answers over here as well from Lawrence. He says most of the guys in our test squad also played in the World T20 World Cup final, so that's experience from a pressure point of view. They can take a lot from, especially in terms of how to deal with the pressures. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, as I said to you, like we've come a long way in the past few years in terms of ICC events, like being the finalists of the T20 World Cup. I think the test side, we're starting to win away from home as well, quite regularly as well. So it's not as if I know a lot of people have argued, oh, they haven't played as many games and all of that sort of stuff, especially the English fans. But the stats don't lie. We actually we have improved quite a bit. I think the area that we have improved on quite a bit, but I think we just need to be mindful of going into the final is our batting. And I just think, I know you said giving the bowlers workloads and training in the IPL and stuff like that. But I just want to make sure that the guys are used to batting time. And that's why I think that warm-up game against Zimbabwe, I'm glad that they're going to play that because it will give the guys some time. And I hope that it's, a similar team. Well, I don't know how exactly the warm-up would work in terms of, if it's going to be 11 versus 11 over 3 days, or, it's going to be a thing of just get as many batters in as possible and as many bowlers. I know we have moved on from this a little bit. I am liking the idea of Tony at 3 because I think it's almost nice, especially if he comes in early with the new ball. We've got someone there who's quite used to facing the new ball as an opener. So yeah, I do think we definitely can beat Australia. And I do think, if you look at their past form as well, yes, they beat India in December. Um, but if you look at the Perth test as well, their batting also um, isn't always exactly, the best either. I mean, that there is also some vulnerability there, especially with the opening spot. So it will be interesting to see what happens.
So we're halfway there. I know we have a call in the back end. We're going to bring you on after our reaction to the press conference, if that's okay. So you're just going to have to wait a little bit because we just to be halfway through it already.
Tiernus, then another one from Pilar.
Shukri, just want to follow up. So if you just think back to what would it mean for you personally to lead this team to a World Championship?
Thankfully, it's never been about me. Now that you ask, it's obviously be a massive achievement. But more importantly, what would it be for South African cricket? What would it be for the South African cricket public who've been starved of the test side reaching the dizzy heights that we once had? So I'm just thrilled for the group of guys, for everybody that's been supportive of that side, for all of the South African cricket mad public. And I think everybody sharing the same goal. We're all really thrilled with how things have unfolded. But there's still one big step to take, and we're just utterly excited. I think we're at our best. And we've shown that every test match has almost been a must-win match for us. And we've shown that we're able to deal with those pressures. And I've got no doubt we'll be able to deal with the pressures that the final brings as well.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this is a little bit of a continuation of what we said previously. So I'm just going to move on from that, and then we can get into more discussions.
We're going to go Tiernus and then on the side.
Before I ask my question, I just want to check the IPL players. They are all still in India. They haven't returned.
No. I think the bulk of them are here. One or two are floating around between India and here, just waiting. But yeah, the bulk of the guys are here. Spoke to Aiden as recently as 9:30 this morning. He's probably flying out on Thursday night once everything gets signed off. But again, it's like really great to know that the WTC final is uppermost in their minds, and they want to be given every chance of being able to do the necessary prep.
Do you have any idea if any of them will not return to India? Is it their own choice? They all
that I've got no idea. Like I said, the guys in the higher pay grades will be able to answer that.
Sorry, now my real question is just back on the KG matter. I wonder if you saw Tim Payne's comments on him. There's quite a bit of criticism from Australia, as you imagine, and I don't think that would probably weigh down as the game gets closer. What would your message be to the Aussies and also to KG when the Aussies start, asking him, the media start asking him about it, and the players start chirping him maybe?
I saw that simply because I'm spending a lot more time on social media now that Lucy's showed me how these things work. To Tim Payne and everybody else out there, I'd probably say something simple like, let he without sin cast the first stone.
Pilar, and then we'll go Ken.
Yeah, Tim's, if for lack of a better word, he must just shut his mouth. I mean, he's the last person to talk about catching on crap, like honestly.
That is literally what I said to Kelly yesterday. I was like, yo, Mr. High and Mighty getting a bit chirpy there.
Yeah, he must just keep quiet. I don't know what he's thinking. Anyway, let's move on from that. But I love the way Coach Shukri answered that question. Yeah, so his humor, he's hilarious, this guy, honestly.
You said the sort of the top order is kind of settled with Rix and Aiden opening up front, but something a little bit more interesting from the last test match was Vian Mulder 3. Will that continue, or will there be another reshuffle as the planning process goes on, and he might drop down again, and maybe a Tony DeZorzi at 3 again? I don't know. What's your thinking around that?
I don't know. Look, obviously, we're obviously looking at how best to get the complete balance to our side. Beyond batting at 3 was not an experiment, I don't think. I think it's technically sound enough to bat at that position. And if your next question was, or statement was, but not so long ago you said Tristan Stubbs was the ideal number 3. I think it's a work in progress, but in this mulling head of mine, I've got a pretty good idea of what that's going to look like. The conditions will obviously determine that. By all accounts, it's been a nice summer thus far, so conditions should be okay when we get there. If you look in the past, the spinner, does he play a massive role at Lords? If the answer is yes, there's no doubt. If the answer is no, do we go a different route? So there are a host of things that it might seem that I'm uncertain, but I'm very clear in my mind as to how I want to go about it. And it wouldn't be me if there wasn't a surprise along the way. So yeah, but I'm pretty clear. But obviously, the guy that gets paid the really big money, Temba, him and I will sit down and finalize it.
It's not Eads to CSI.
There's been a lot of talk.
He's hinting there, Kaka. You must pay more, guys, just to CSI. He's now doing him. He's now part of all format coach now, so you must get a little bit of a pay jump according to him. Everybody else is getting more paid than him.
Hey, if he wins, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Let's continue with that.
About the quality of opposition that we've had leading up throughout this cycle. Is that now the fact that we're playing Australia, which is a big opposition? Is that a bit of motivation? Do you guys feel like we have a point to prove here?
Shout out to Ungama though, former CFM. He's always be part of the CFM family. I'm just saying that he's now doesn't work for CFM anymore, but like former CFM brother there. Ungama asking a question.
No, I think only in their minds have they dubbed themselves the Big Three. I don't think anybody else has. We don't prepare any different. We certainly don't respect Pakistan less than we do Australia, as we do India. Everything stays the same. It's great that it's Australia because we haven't played them in a while. And yeah, it doesn't provide you with any more motivation. If you're looking for more motivation, then you're probably not in the right state of mind anyway. You don't need motivation to play for South Africa. You don't need motivation to play in finals. I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. I think Australia is the one side that everybody wants to topple, but yeah, preparation won't be any different to it. I'm still on KG.
No. No. Obviously, Test cricket hasn't been, but it's been sort of scarce in South Africa over the last couple of years. Is this the sort of, or winning this Test championship, is this the sort of thing that South Africa needs perhaps to compel maybe the ICC to bring back more of that, more of red ball cricket back to South Africa? You spoke of not having or returning to the highs of Test cricket, but that can only be achieved, I suppose, by playing as much Test cricket as possible, and that hasn't been the case.
Yeah, so if we were able to achieve this with the scarce schedule that we've had, imagine what we'd be able to do if we had like a prop full schedule. So yes, if it is that, it means that we take our place at the main table, and if winning this shows the world that we belong at that main table, then so be it. But I never ever felt that Test cricket plays second fiddle to, or should play second fiddle to the white ball game. And yes, I think it's a great opportunity to show everybody in South Africa and the world that the Proteas test team is a team that needs to be taken very seriously, and we belong at the main table.
You know what? Full props there to Coach Shukri for steering that question to the direction of the WTC final and how it fits in, because I don't think that question was the right one for this particular press conference. It was but anyway, I don't want to be how can I say, dissing anybody for what they ask in the presser, but ultimately it was, I want this to be, because it's so long, I want it to be about WTC stuff only.
We're going to go Ken, Kagiso, and then Stu, and then we're going to look to wrap with Chad in front.
Almost done.
Shukri, normally when you choose a 15-man squad, it's for a whole tour. This is a bit unusual in that you're choosing a squad for just one venue. What are the specific sort of things you took into account about Lords
Balance.
in choosing the squad, and do you feel that if it was, say, a 3-test series in England, you might have done anything different?
No, I don't think different, Ken. I think our batting unit is pretty settled. The conversations that were had was around what sort of bowling strength we need, and bowling from the different ends at Lords. Not that I've bowled the ball there, but I think it presents different challenges. So experience counts for a lot. Players that have played there will tell you that whilst the slope sometimes is something that's more in the head, there are certain nuances we need to take into account, and that's why we plumbed for the experience. I genuinely believe someone like Lungi can be a massive asset for us there. He's looking in great shape. He's been training really well, and he brings experience to our lineup as well. And I think whether it's up the slope or down the slope, I think the height and the bounce that he's able to extract can be a factor as well. So I'm going into a little bit of detail, but I think to answer your question, Ken, I don't think we'd have done it any differently in terms of the squad. I think it covers all the bases.
There we are.
And yeah, I'm very comfortable. Well, I have to be very comfortable with the 50.
Okay, no worries. Let's go, Stu.
Well, you partly answered the question I was going to ask, Shukri, on Lungi. Just on David Bedingham, who hasn't played since, I don't know, start of April, I think, because of a toe. Where is he in terms of his readiness, would you say, for Lords? And can you speak a little bit to his importance, because he was a bit up and down last season?
Yeah, so Bedders is pretty much ready to go. And I mean, if there is such a thing as a good break, it was a good clean break, and I think Durham were keen to play him in the next county match. Again, our medical staff have been in conversation with them as to whether we feel that's the right thing. But Bedders has been eating balls, and Bedders is best when fresher. So, and yes, his form has been a little bit up and down, but I still think he's a key guy in our lineup, especially with the type of cricket he plays, and especially against a side like Australia, where we know when Bedders plays well, he's the perfect guy to take on a side like Australia.
Great, gonna go Chad.
I think the fact that it's a once-off match gives you a little bit more freedom, and a guy like Bedingham can be dangerous in those situations, don't you think, Stu?
Yeah, I think also, sorry, I was just reading the comments while I was listening as well on my phone. I think Bedingham, as I said, in the English conditions, I think is a bit of an underrated, player to consider in the middle order. I am obviously more in the studs camp, but if they select Bedingham and let's say Dizorzi at 3, I could see the logic there. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh my word, like Stubbs was hard done by. I think it'll be a very tight call to make in that regard. The one thing I was just noticing in the chat that while you were playing was I saw quite a few people were saying, why isn't like Lohandre Pretorius or Devop Rivers getting selected yet? Especially in the case of Lohandre Pretorius, I don't think he's played enough red ball cricket yet. I know he has been consistently performing this season, and I think he got selected for the emerging tour. I think maybe give him a little bit more time to develop his game. And Devalt, I think he is very close to maybe getting on the door with guys like Herman and Bredska as well. But I think now's not the time to be saying have a debut in a World Test Championship final when we trying to win a one-off game. I think it's a bit too much pressure for those guys to consider. Khalid, are you there? Okay, well, while we wait for him, I'm just going to read through some of the comments on my phone. Sorry, I don't know what's happened to him. I'm seeing quite a few people saying a lot of Devot's centuries are coming at Centurion. Jordan's done quite well at St. George's and other venues. I think it's also important to be mindful that Devot still is quite young as well. I think we just need to give him a little bit more time. I do think, he definitely is one of the most talented batters in South Africa. And I think, in a few months, I don't know what you guys think. I definitely think he could be in the fray. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I just freestyled.
I'm happy that you did. You saved my life. Okay, so thanks a lot. My whole computer decided to go to the lockouts, to the logout. It logged out for some reason. Anyway,
okay.
So we're done with that. I think we're done with that presser. We've covered everything over there. So we're going to bring on another caller now, Stu. Aswani hasn't been on the show in a long time. Welcome to the show, brother. I'm going to do this rather. And I want to get your thoughts. You've heard the presser. You heard us react to the presser. Anything specific you want to say about what Coach Shukri had to say and particularly about the squad?
Yeah, first of all, hello to Khalid and Stuart. It's a very long time I coming into this show. So yeah, it's great to talk about cricket. Yeah, I think I'm very excited about WTC final between two of the most prolific test teams currently. So I think what I read about Shukri's statement, I think first of all he's very confident coach. He knows his team's weaknesses and strengths. What he should, what playing 11 he want to play in the loads. He knew because if you saw this playing 11, what he want to put that playing 11 in the loads. You see, most of the South African guys playing in the county cricket, the likes of Wayne Mulder, the likes of David Bettingham, even the likes of Aidan Markham, they playing, I think, in England in their youth cricket. So they knew how they play, how to tackle the Duke ball. But the main problem, what I saw in this South African team, it's their batting. I think that South African test batting struggle stem from a combination of factors, including, I think, perceiving a slow approach. I think relies more on their quick bowlers, and I think they need more consistent performance from their top order batter. I think while some of the batters like Ryan Nicholton has done well, he scored a brilliant double century against Pakistan, but I think some batters have performed well. More dynamic batting lineup is need to consistently challenge opponent, especially in the tough conditions. Because I can give you the example of Travis Head. Uh, Suppose there's a match ongoing between Australia and South Africa. Lords is if you compare to the other English ground, Lords is definitely the bowling friendly conditions. So there's a contest between Australia's bowling and South Africa's bowling there. So the guy who has the guts to play that quick, fiery, you can say that 50, 60, 70 runs, that impact innings, that will change the momentum of the game. So in that case, Australia has Travis Head. So can South Africa play that guy? Can South Africa have that guy in that middle order? They need to find out that. So I think the guy who played that impact inning on that WTC final, he will make the match out of it. We know that both teams had excellent bowling lineup. Australia has the best bowling lineup in the world, likes of Hazelwood, Stark, Nathan Lyon, and Scotty Bolland. South Africa has equally good bowling lineup, but I think that middle order option, it's my opinion. I think like that. The guy who played that important 60, 70 runs in that middle order game, because I think this in that Lord's ground, the score is not going to be high scoring. So it's around 350 to around 320. So I think that middle order will be the crucial from both teams. So in that case, I think Australia is a little bit edge because they had the likes of Cameron Green, Travis had, and if you come to the South Africa, they had the likes of Temba Bavuma. I know he's one of the best red ball batters, but that impact player guy, that's where South Africa is lacking.
I get what you're saying, Ashwani, and I'm
Yeah,
sorry to interject, Khalid. Like, I do
Go
think
ahead.
you've raised some valid points about the middle order. Um, I do think the weakness on both sides, if I'm honest, is the batting. Because if I think of Australia, yes, Steve Smith's been performing well, and yes, Travis Head can turn the game very quickly. But they've also got guys like Sam Constas. Um, Marnus hasn't been in the best of form over the past few months. I know he did slightly turn it around as well. Um, Look, Steve Smith, I think he did come right towards the end of the Indian series as well, but he's not exactly in the prime of his career as well. So I don't think it's necessarily going to be like a chalk and cheese type scenario. I do think, as because you said it's going to be quite a low scoring game, I have a feeling that the lower order batters, so the tail is going to have to contribute quite a bit. So that's why I think if you look at the amount of all rounders Shukri has selected for this one-off game, I think he's trying to give himself options so that he can lengthen the batting lineup a little bit. I'm not saying our batting lineup is terrible. I'm a huge fan of Tristan Stubbs. Aiden Markram, I'm number one president of the fan club, as all of you probably know. But I think that the lower order is going to be quite crucial. And I think that's why you're seeing guys like Corbin, Marco Janssen, even KG and Keshav Maharaj is selected. We've all seen them score a test 50 before KG to win us a game. So I think it's not going to be like I'm not expecting a 50-run gap at the end of the first innings. Put it that way. I could expect like 20 either way.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to Ayanda now next because the thing is that I know about Lords, it's an exposure of technique, of bad technique. So how are you feeling about our batting lineup going into this? And there was a lot of discussion, obviously, questions asked to Shukri about who he would select. We know our openers, it's Ryan Rickleton and Aiden Markram. He's confirmed that. But that middle order is now going to be tossed around a bit. You might go with Tristan, you might go with Tony, you might go with David. I mean, I think you will go with David. That's what I would believe you will do. But what would you do? What's your thoughts on what he had to say in the presser as well?
Yeah, good evening to you, Khaled, and Stuart and Ashwani. Yeah, my point is that because initially it was a toss-up between Tony and Ryan Rickleton, because I was initially thinking that Ricks only played one innings, and that was in Cape Town, where he scored a double century. So I thought maybe Shukri might go back to Tony Dizzosi. But after hearing the press conference and with him confirming that Run is going to open with Aiden Markram, I think that's sorted. But my issue now is the middle order. I feel like if there's one informed batsman in our middle order, I think it's Temba Bavuma. I mean, he's been scoring runs consistently in the past recent months. And then the next best batsman after that, it's Tristan Stubbs. I'm a bit skeptical about batters. As much as he's been playing county cricket for the past 5, 6, 7 years, but I'm concerned about his form in Test cricket. I don't think he has scored a century in 18 months or so. The last time he scored a century was if I'm not mistaken, was in New Zealand last year, January. So that's a bit concerning. However, having played county cricket for so long, I think that will play in his favor if he does play. And then with the issue of number 3, because Shukri did drop some hints in his press conference, but I'm thinking it's going to lean towards Tony Dizzosi. I don't know why my head is giving me that, but I think it's going to lean towards Tony Dizzosi. because one, like Stuart said, Tony is an opener naturally. So if it happens that we lose an early wicket, he's the one who's more accustomed to facing a new ball over Tristan Stubbs. And also, I think rather like exposing Tristan Stubbs to a new ball, I'd prefer if maybe we batted him at number 4 or 5. Yeah, and it's a bit concerning with our bowling because I think, like everybody has been saying, like we lack express pace. Besides probably KG and Marco, we don't have serious pace. But then again, if you look at Australia's batting lineup, like the only on-form batsman, probably it's 2. The only informed batsman in the Australia batting lineup is Travis Head, and maybe to a certain extent, Steve Smith. Manas has been under the weather recently, and then Costas is new to the team, so I wouldn't really want to put too much on him. And then like if we could probably get 1, 2, 3 quick wickets early on, I think we can really like put Australia under pressure. But overall, I'm just happy with the squad. I've been hearing people saying that now Lungi shouldn't have made the squad and whatnot, but I think Lungi with his skill set and bowling sim, that will play in his favor if he does play. But honestly speaking, I don't see him playing. So it's going to be a toss-up between him and Petro, to be honest.
Yeah, the thing for me is about Lungi. Is a fit Lungi Ngidi in that conditions is going to be brilliant. And I don't know, Coach Huk, I'm going to trust Coach Hukri when he said that Lungi's looking good. My concern is the amount of cricket he's been playing. He hasn't really been playing that much cricket. So yeah, I agree with Ayana over there about the toss up between the two. For me, I like Corbin, and I think the batting aspect does add to his game. But I'm concerned about the consistency here, man. Against Australian batters with the technique they have on a Lord's wicket, where it's going to be moving and swinging around, probably that type of bowling, you need to be really accurate and know where you want to put that ball and delivery in the good areas, etc.
Khalid, I have a point that during WTC final 2023, when India met Australia there, I think in 24, I think 23. Yeah, India made one mistake there. If you saw that Australia inning, that ball is swinging there. But one thing where Australians and India's bowling, that the main difference is that line on length, that 4 to 6 meter mark. They bowl continuously there. They board Indian batters there, and they induces edges from the Indian batter. But Indian bowlers, they straw towards leg side, bowling off sides. That's where I think the likes of Corbin Bosch, you need to aware of it, because if he gives 20-30 runs away, then I think the match will be drifted away from South Africa. So I think South Africa need the guy like Patterson there, because Patterson bowling that stump to stump line, and it's around I think fourth or fifth stump. So South Africa need that type of bowler, and in England you don't require that 145 pace. If you are good enough, you are bowling at I think 128 to 135, but you have the ability to moving the ball, so I think you are good enough. So but you have to be consistent in your line, and that's what Australians are mastering at. The likes of Hazelwood, Scott Ball, and they are mastered at 6 to 8 meter length. So I think in that areas in South Africa's bowling, they need the guy like Patterson.
Yeah, that's why Patterson is probably going to be very key, guys. It's open floor, guys. You can just go ahead and talk when you feel you need to.
Yeah, I think this one is right, actually. Plus, what plays to Peto's advantage is the fact that he's been playing county cricket also, so that might play in his favor. But I'm concerned about one thing, though. Like, I'm wondering if maybe the pitch at Lord's is going to be conducive for a spinner, or we might go all out pace attack.
I haven't actually thought about that. I haven't actually I never put that into my mentality of thinking, actually, because Coach Shukri's always been so adamant that he always wants maybe a spinner in the side. But that could also be an option. I mean, if the pitch is not conducive for spin, if it's not going to deteriorate over the by day 3 or so, then we could actually, if it's a lot of grass on the wicket, and I can obviously see by the overhead conditions how much sun will be out there at that particular time of year, then that pitch will probably be moving around right until day 3, 4. So that's where the weather conditions come in when it comes to selection. Stu?
Yeah, I know we haven't seen the pitch reports and stuff like that yet. I don't know how you gents feel about it. I know Khalid's mentioned the conditions and stuff like that as well. I'm just thinking of those general flat graveyard baseball wickets at like Edgbaston, Lords, all that sort of stuff that we've seen for the past few years. And when I think of that England team, I think of guys like Jack Leach doing quite a good job containing batters. I'm thinking of, guys like Ravindra Jada from India, bowling stump to stump. So personally, I think Kesh should play. I think in the second innings, he could be quite key. I know we can't, unless it's a green mamba with his, cracks and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's
Like
swinging.
Brisbane.
Yeah, then I will need to play 4 bowlers. But I think the spinners for me also will just, especially just playing one spinner in Kesh, and then it could be quite useful in the second innings as well. So I don't know what you gents feel about that, but I also think
yeah, Kesh, I mean, it's proven, man. He can bowl in any condition.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah.
one thing about Kesh that's different to most spinners, is that he finds a way. Yeah,
Exactly.
determination and that drive that he has, man. He just finds a way. I'm going to give you
Yeah.
guys final thoughts. So I'm going to start with Ayanda, then Ashwani, and then Stuart to end off.
Okay, yeah. I think if he does play, Cash might play a very, very crucial role, because I'm thinking to myself, most of Australia's batsmen are right-handed, apart from maybe Travis Head. But all of Smith, Labuschagne, Constance, Green, they're right-handed. So Keshav might play a crucial role if he does play, and then if the wicket does deteriorate. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with the squad. Hopefully, Markram scores big runs, because he's been under the weather for quite some few years.
Yeah, you've been quite critical of him recently.
don't talk bad about my guy.
Ashwani?
Yeah, I think one thing we forgot to mention, it's Lord's slope. I think it's a very valid thing which I want to mention here. I think that slope can make bowling more difficult for the bowler, especially with with the run up, potentially cause them to lose rhythm. So I think they need to pick the bowlers who is not whose rhythm is proper there. So I think before they going into the test match, the guys they need to select. I think they need to check out that load slope, because if you saw that slope, it because the wind is coming from that south end there. So I think they need to be very tactically very sharp there. Which bowler they need to use there. So in that case, I think South Africa's management, they need to think about it. Coming to their, I think the team, I think simple is that if South Africa can bat well, they can score 350. They have good enough bowlers who can trouble the Australians. And one thing South Africa need to vary of that guy Travis Head, and another guy I want to mention is Alex Carey. Alex Carey is very dangerous player in the middle order. He can create that Adam Gilchrist impact. I saw him bat for South Australia recently. South Australia won the matches. That guy is very very dangerous player. So South Africa, if they wipe out that openers and middle order, they need to be wary of these two guys. So they can't sit back. I want to see South Africa winning ICC championship. It's my dream to see that South African team winning ICC trophy.
Too, bro.
Yeah, India winning it. So it's my second
We
team, South
receive,
Africa. I want to see them to winning ICC trophy.
we receive, bro.
I mean, you're talking about Alex Carey. Just to mention, I mean, he's average against South Africa. I know he's only played 3 games. He's 133. He scored 100 against us. I remember him giving us some problems. So yeah, we need to be wary of guys like that. Stuart?
Yeah, look, I also think with Kyrie, you just got to be careful about making sure that, you leave your crease at the right time. So just make sure that, you umpire signal over. Sorry, it was just a bad joke.
We know
But,
gooi jou roetie at the carry, it's fine.
yeah, all in all, I think, everyone's touched on the batting quite a bit in the bowling, and I can see the argument for Patterson. And you guys are slowly starting to convince me to with the accuracy and stuff like that. Um, I just worry that I don't know if they're using a Duke's ball, whatever, and the overhead conditions are going to be. My worry is I don't want us to be playing six batters with one all rounder and then we relying on a tail of bowlers to score our runs.
Probably
So
won't happen.
I understand it is a batter's job to score runs in difficult conditions as well. We've seen guys like Stubbs do it brilliantly, as we've all highlighted, Rickleton in Cape Town. Um, I do think the batting has improved, but for that reason, I know everyone's going to argue against his accuracy and stuff like that, but I think I would like to see Corbin Bosch play with Marco Jansen just to give us that little bit more breathing space. So Kyle Verreynne has more people to bat around him with the tail if needs be. But if they decide to go with Dane Patterson and exploding that stump to stump line and making Oaks fall over, I'm also okay with that. But yeah, it's just my thinking.
Guys, thanks a lot. I will have another calling show at some point as well. So thanks a lot for calling in, everybody. Stuart, thanks a lot for co-hosting with me today. And I'll see you guys very, very soon. I hope you guys call in again, eh?
Cheers, mate.
Thanks so much.
So,
Cheers, guys.
So yeah, I just want to close off the show quickly and just give you guys a quick announcement of my team and what I would like to see in this particular final. And for me, it's gonna be dependable on. It's gonna be dependent on conditions. 100% for me, always when it comes to red ball cricket, conditions play a massive part in who you select in the team. But my team generally would be Aiden Markram, Ryan Rickleton, Tristan Stubbs, Temba Bavuma, David Bedingham, Mulder, Kyle Verreynne, Marco Jansen, Keshav Maharaj, Rabada, and Lungin Gidi or Dane Patterson. That last selection is based on how fit Lungin Gidi is and what conditions are on display there. But if Lungi is 100% fit, it would be Lungi as my last bowler. So that's my squad. That's my first 11 that I would like to see. We will be getting your first 11s on the preview for this particular match. We will be doing a full preview for this. But to all the guys out there, everybody in the comment section, everybody that called in today, what a brilliant show. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Click that notification bell if you enjoy this type of content. Please smash the like button, comment and share. And don't forget to download Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen right now, as well as in the description. Thanks a lot, everybody, for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Put on your notifications to know when we go live, and check out our Instagram stories and Facebook stories to know when we do go live. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace out.